Awesome.
We are live. We are a little delayed, but we are live. How's it going?
It's going really well. How's it going over there? You can see I've ripped apart my office.
Nice, nice. Yeah, not as many Amigas in shot as is often the case.
It's right
Oh,
behind
there we
me.
go. Yeah.
There's a, and then there's the CDTV there, and there's two up there. They're in the box.
Ah, they're in a box. Well, that's cheating.
Yeah, yeah. Those are the new inbox ones, or nearly
New to you inbox.
right. Um,
Nice.
Actually, that 600, I would be very surprised if I wasn't the first person to open it. Yeah. So yeah, my setup's a little bit. I had some scheduling bullshit, so my setup is a little bit less awesome than it
Okay.
usually is. Yeah, we can do. Clearly, we can do this anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this has worked despite me pulling the whole infrastructure apart and putting it back together. So last week was our first stream from redirecting through a free software RTMP server. So people who don't want to engage with like proprietary software can go to rtmp.obc-retain.com. Actually, it's visible on the screen right now, and play the stream over HLS. And now there's also a Mattermost with chat bridging, so you can chat. Obviously, like we are live now, and you can chat in Twitch or you can chat on Mattermost. But we also now have this chat like permanently on, so yeah, we can carry on the discussion when we're not sat directly in front of each other, streaming on the interwebs. So yeah, quite excited about that. You know, it gives us somewhere like for the community to hang out when we're not, when we're not streaming. So yeah, good. But also, I'm impressed by how well the stream works, given that every week I break a bit of the info and put it back together in a different way.
Yeah, on the other stream, I've broken the infrastructure every week and put it back together too. It's
Yeah, but
just
you
it
just
wasn't
wait until after we've gone live before you do it.
well, and it wasn't necessarily planned.
No, indeed.
Um, so yeah, it's really nice. It's especially nice to start doing this with free software because that is what we're about here,
Hmm.
and it's really nice for those kinds of things to be available to more people. So it's nice that we can test out some of these things and hopefully write them down for others to follow suit.
Yeah, and
So
actually, like, Mattermost is really easy to set up. They've got good documentation. Um, if you want to get involved with that, go to chat.obc-retain.com and you can sign up. And then there's instructions at the regular website, obc-retain.com, instructions on how you can then connect to TalkSoup or whatever IRC client you want. So yeah, there's a complicated Heath Robinson set of bots that are then doing like IRC bridging and Twitch bridging and all this kind of stuff. But the actual Mattermost itself is a pretty simple thing to set up.
that's great. And the Twitch bridging seems to work and everything. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so like if I uh, if I write in here, if I use the correct mouse and keyboard to write in here, I'll put a link to chat. I'll put a link to chat in the chat. Then that should appear in your Twitch client, and indeed it has. Yeah, good. You've gone mute.
Yeah, I'm riding the mute button because I've got a shittier setup this week than
Okay.
usual. Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. So we wanted to do. We're probably gonna have a shorter show this week just because it's starting pretty late. But we're going to talk first about one of these things that you thought had died a number of years ago, which is Oracle v Google.
Right. So this is there's news on this. So for those of you that are watching that are not familiar with this, And also, we should both start by saying I anal. Um,
Indeed.
I don't have legal advice or opinions on this. I have expert advice and opinions on this kind of thing. Um, this is licensing is part of what I do, and license compliance. So this is something that I'm deeply intimately familiar with. So for those of you that don't know, the quick backstory is that Oracle bought Sun a number of years ago, and the rumor mill has decided that this is fact, and I have no reason not to believe it. There were a lot of people who were there. The rumor mill has decided that Oracle's reason for purchasing Sun was so that they could use the Java patents to sue Google.
No, I remember that from the
But
time. So, for a start, like this is stream relevant content because the then CEO of Sun was Jonathan Schwartz, who was an Objective C programmer. He had
right,
worked for Lighthouse Design that had done I think they had written the Lotus Improv spreadsheet for Lotus, which was the famous pivot tables one. They had done some work on FrameMaker, and they had their own sort of iWork style suite. There was a presentation package and a drawing package and a word processor. But yes, so he was an Objective-C programmer. And no, I definitely remember at the time there was discussions of, they're like Oracle probably getting a bargain because they probably could get a $10 billion settlement from Google off of a $6 billion purchase, or numbers around that.
yeah, and there were people in the room during the negotiations who reported uh, other people in the room asking, what's the status of the Java API
Mm,
copyright? What's the status of this? Why haven't you sued Google yet? What's preventing us from suing Google?
right.
Like, apparently they were very, very open about their
Mm, mm.
intention. And so, and that's sort of, that is a rumor that has been substantiated by people in the room often enough that I think that it probably elevates beyond rumor, but that's for other people can decide that. It's also stream relevant for other reasons, which I will get to shortly. So basically, Oracle bought Sun so that they could sue Google. And the
Mm.
reason they wanted to do this was because Google doesn't use Java on Android. They re-implemented all of the Java APIs so that it basically becomes source compatible with Java.
Yeah,
And
particularly they never
Oracle's
licensed Java, and they never got a TCK.
right.
Oh, I'm getting an echo off your side of the stream.
Yeah, that is unfortunately expected. That's
Oh,
why I'm
okay.
riding the mute.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah. So Oracle wanted to um, so basically Google re-implemented all the Java APIs, and Oracle wanted to use this and say the Java APIs are copyright by us, so Google owes us a bunch of money.
Right.
And this was really big news in the free software community because many projects exist to provide source compatibility with other copyrighted frameworks and proprietary frameworks. This was a big deal in Monoland, which I'll talk about briefly in a minute. But definitely and relevant to the stream, this is really relevant to GNU Step. There's always been this sort of low-grade fear in the GNU Step community that if we succeed at our if we succeed at our goals enough that Apple cares, we might face similar problems.
Mm.
And so in the GNU Step community, because we are implementing Apple APIs, we're not using any Apple source code, but we're implementing Apple APIs. So this Oracle v. Google thing went through a whole bunch of courts with conflicting decisions, and finally the lowest court made the wrong decision and said that Google was definitely infringing on Oracle's IP, and Google sent it to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court decision came down last week. Uh, which does not say, it doesn't overturn the ruling from the lower court. It says it sent the ruling from lower court for remand, which basically means the simple explanation of that is the Supreme Court told the lower court, rerun this, and when the question comes up, is this fair use, the answer is yes, so that so that the lower court would not be able to in the future say, uh, basically reiterate that this was not fair use and it was a violation of copyright. So the Supreme Court in the United States has definitively said implementing an API is fair use, and this is a landmark ruling for everyone in the software industry, even if you don't live in the United States, because the DMCA is like a virus that basically touches every other country because of trade agreements. And so the DMCA applies in Sweden, where I live, because Sweden has signed various trade agreements with the United States, and those trade agreements all have the line, you have to enforce the DMCA in them. It definitely applies to all NATO countries. It's part of NATO. It definitely applies to anybody in the WTO, and a few other things. I'm a little out of date on my understanding of exactly which of the treaties and so on are problematic, but the DMCA basically applies everywhere. So the Supreme Court in the United States said that implementing a documented API, actually, I don't know if they made the distinction between documented or not, but providing an alternate implementation of an API is definitely fair use. This is absolutely critical for GNU Step. It means that we are free from any interruption from Apple for them not liking us re-implementing their shit. And that is absolutely critical to the growth and success of a project like GNU Step. You may remember the Mono project, which re-implemented .NET for free software many years ago. A lot of great apps were written in it very quickly for GNOME, and it was really great. It still is. It's still really great, although .NET is now free software, so it's not as important as it used to be. But there was a lot of concern over Microsoft's lawyers coming after people behind Mono. And I just wanted to add, Miguel de Casa wrote a tweet when this decision came down. He said, for everyone who was rude to me about re-implementing .NET in Mono, you can email your apology to miguel@gnome.org.
And not miguel.diacazza@microsoft.com. I might cynically note. Because he's definitely poacher turned gamekeeper there.
Oh, absolutely. And so this is a landmark ruling in free software reimplementation, which has always been a bit of a touchy subject and something that we were very afraid of for the reason of Oracle v. Google. And for a lot of years, it was looking like it was going the wrong way, and it definitely did in the lower court go the wrong way. But now that problem has been solved by the Supreme Court, and so we are free to continue our work.
Yeah. So the other sort of take I've read on this, is that it is good for the as you say, the free software goal of providing alternative free software homes for. I didn't use the computer enough. Alternative free software homes for for proprietary software. So something like ReactOS, Android open source project, Haiku for that matter, and GNU Step, and indeed like the entire GNU project itself, because there's still the rumblings of what is now the XenuOS versus IBM versus Red Hat lawsuit that was the SCO versus IBM and Red Hat suit, which now that is specifically about taking proprietary code and incorporating it into Linux. But Or rather, the first one was. The new one is not. It's about anti-competition. But if so, the second one, the Xenos one, if they are saying it is unfair that you re-implemented our APIs, well, no, it isn't. That has now been decided by by the Supreme Court of the United States. However, the bit that is a potential downside for copyleft free software is that essentially the GPL and the LGPL become equivalent, because if it is fair use to re-implement an API, then you can no longer use the linking clause to define someone else's rewrite of your library as derived work, or someone replacing a component of your library as derived work. So the GNU GPL only becomes equally effective as the GNU LGPL.
Right. That, of course, depends on still a lot of re-implementation in the decision from the Supreme Court. And this is all it needed. It seems like it got my argument against this whole Oracle v. Google thing all along was the same argument that I make when software licensing happens. The problem is that software people don't understand enough about copyright law, and lawyers don't understand enough about how computers work. And that was what caused this to go Oracle's way for so long in the lower courts. It was the judges just not understanding how computers work,
right,
and being hoodwinked by the Oracle lawyers who also didn't understand how computers work. And it seems when I read through the decision once, but I didn't read through it carefully and take notes. But I read through, and the judge was making very good distinctions, very knowledgeable distinctions between, and he kept using the words interface and implementation.
Okay.
And he was very careful to say copying the interface is definitely fair use. Copying the implementation is definitely not fair use. And so I think this is the first time that we've had it sort of written on the record, a good understanding of the difference between interface and implementation. And this is a very, I will reiterate, this is an important time, and we should be celebrating it. It's absolutely important to our cause.
Nice. Okay, well, let's celebrate by writing some code.
That's a great idea.
Do you have a demo for this? Intro spiel for this project or not? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can. So AntiRSI is a program that we've been working on. It's a program that I use on a Mac, and I want to be able to use it on free software platforms. And so what we want to do is use GNU Step. Currently, we're using GNU Step to build and run AntiRSI on a FreeBSD host. AntiRSI is a program that just reminds you to take breaks, because that is the best way to limit your repetitiveness of the repetitive strain injury. And so AntiRSI works great on Mac OS, and with some help from Greg Casamanto from the GNU Step project, and a bit of work on the stream, we were able to get it to build and run reasonably on free software, and we were working now on the dock, on the timer being drawn on the dock.
So this has really not gone the way that I was hoping. So I did a bit of homework. There we go. And I wrote this tool called Icon Drawing, which draws its icon, and it does it in one of two ways. So you can see what it does is it's got an image called doc image, and it just draws a red rectangle in that. It fills the image with the red color. And then if the default thing for it to do, so if you just build and run this, it will just set the application icon image to that. And if we build and run it, we see that we don't get anything drawn in the icon. But you can do instead, and I'm just going to change to the terminal because that's quicker than remembering how to set the icon, how to set the arguments in. Where has it put? Oh, it's at the top level. Icon drawing.app in Project Center. So if I use this use icon window argument, then what it's going to do is add an image view containing the image to the icon window, and now you can see that we do have a red thing. Now this caused me to think, well, the app is just not drawing its icon image. This must be a problem with GNU GUI. So I filed that bug report. But using this icon window content view thing, this is GNU Step specific. So we could do this, but we mean having like different drawing code for GNU Step and for Cocoa. But we have had another email from someone who I think has now got friend of the show status.
Definitely.
Friend of the show, Josh Freeman, who's the author of Pico Pixel and the Redoomed Doom Editor app, who got us on the right track with this last stream, sent a follow-up this stream. And I'm going to sort of précis the first bit and then start reading. So he took the changes that we had made and was able to get the icon drawing. But the reason is that we had put some debug code in during the stream that we then reverted after the stream, which is why ours stopped working. Because it turned out that the debug code was having a material effect on how the image was being drawn. So Josh writes, GNU Step's current implementation of NS image copy with zone does not copy any NS cached image reps from the source image. Only non-cached image reps will be added to the copy, and if the source contains only cached reps, the returned copy is an empty image. Now, what is happening is that we're creating an empty image in AntiRSI, so it has no reps at all. Then we draw it, and it contains just a cached rep that contains the drawing output. Then that gets passed to NSAppSet application icon image, which copies it but doesn't copy any of the reps, and then draws the empty image. But at some point, one of us suggested, why don't we save this as a TIFF to the file system and look at that TIFF that's being drawn? And generating the TIFF representation is enough to get a bitmap image rep added to the image, which then means when it's copied, you copy the bitmap image rep, and so the icon can be drawn. So his solution, like there is potentially a bug in NS image copy with zone that Josh has offered to go away and look at patching, which is a very good and honourable route for them to take. So thank you, Josh. But his suggestion, if I load the AntiRSI project as it is, I did a little hack, which if I'm on the right branch, I am. So this puts the build product somewhere else. Build products AntiRSI.app. So what I did was I did two things. One is we've got a problem with the Cocoa bindings, so none of the colours are being set to usable objects, and that would stop the drawing working anyway. But then I did this icon window thing. Now this is obviously like not aligned properly, but that's maybe not a massive. It's not the important thing. The important thing is if we take a break, then we start to see this thing start to get drawn, and it's starting to do a little bit of green pie chart in this red. But this is doing the icon window approach. Now, Josh's suggestion is that we don't draw in the icon window, but that we just generate and throw away the image's TIFF representation before we draw it, and that every time through that update doc or draw doc image method, we discard the image and draw into a fresh one.
Right. It makes a lot of sense. He clearly went into a lot of detail in the email and clearly thought this through. I really appreciate his effort on this. And also, PicoPixel is a really cool app that everyone should be trying. I think it also works on macOS as well. It's for doing pixel art. And helps you with getting pixel art from images. Is really, really neat. I packaged it for Debian at one point. So thank you, Josh, and I guess we should give this a try.
Yep. So if we I have two Emacs on here, and this is not the Cocoa Emacs, but it will do. It is an Emacs.
Any Emacs will do.
A Emacs. So we probably want to undo whatever I did. Somewhere here will be the add doc image view to the
Yeah, I think the method is called draw doc image, where it does the drawing.
Yeah, but what I did was this. We don't want that anymore. But we do want in draw doc image. So here. It's in it with size, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. Yep.
And it doesn't matter what size it is because it will get scaled to the tile. But 128 by 128 is the size on Cocoa, so that's the size we're going to do there. So you'll see here I have commented out all of these color lines and just replaced them with hard-coded colors.
And those will come back when we fix the Cocoa bindings, I guess.
Yeah. So here we need to generate and throw away the tip representation. And then here, rather than that, we want that.
Is it icon image? I thought it was just set application icon. I could be wrong.
I thought, no, I've got it open here and it's set application icon image.
Oh, yes, it is. Yep.
So assuming I got all that typing correct, which is not guaranteed. But
you use the right keyboard.
I use that is an improvement on what normally happens. Okay, so now we've got the correctly drawn pie chart.
Mm-hmm.
And if we take break now.
Wow.
So there we go. Josh's fix is doing exactly what it wants. So we still don't have the colours right, but we do have the pie chart drawing.
Yeah, that is a fantastically simple fix, because all of the other faffing about that we did to get it working basically didn't. um, and that was this is fantastic. And presumably, if the presumed bug in GNU step in NS image copy with zone is fixed, we can remove that hack line, the TIFF representation line, and that will make it even better. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, as Josh said, there's a comment in the code explicitly saying to leave out cached image reps. So there's a reason it isn't done, and so we've got to be careful that not to introduce a new bug in fixing this other bug.
Right. Yeah, somebody, whoever wrote that code, decided to ignore the cached image reps for a reason, and we just need to find out what that reason was. And I think that compatibility with Cocoa is a good enough reason to put it the other way. So that's this is really great. All right, so shall we commit and push that?
Yeah. Do you want to do some typing, or should I carry on?
I am totally capable of doing typing here. Let's see here. So we can see. I just want to see what's there. So you've removed the custom image view, and then also ignored. Oh no, you've already committed where you're ignoring the colors. So now we are we're just doing the TIFF representation generation hack.
Yeah, okay, your review of that reminded me I haven't removed the instance variable for the image view that is no longer being used.
Let's do that. Let's go back.
That'll probably be in the header, actually.
Yep. AntiRSI.h.
Yeah, that NS image view.
There we go. And then I will add AntiRSI. Look at this. I have square brackets on this stream.
That is useful when you're writing Objective-C.
It is, yeah. Okay, so we can say, let's see. Let's see. We're going to say generate and throw away a TIFF representation in order to make sure the cache image reps are copied. My commit messages are much better in places that are not our streams. But I think that's fine. And then we can probably push that as well. Do you want to punch in your stuff?
Yeah. I was going to look up the thing. I've written a blog post about this before, about making sure that the committer name and email and the author name and email are different so that we both get credited for these commits. And I will do that before the next stream.
Cool. That sounds good.
Let me make a secret.
The homework recorder.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really exciting. So now we're down just to the Cocoa bindings issues.
Yeah.
I would say after that, it's shippable.
Yeah, and then we could probably look for a different project to take on. So
Yeah.
the bindings thing, I have no idea. Like, all I have done is ignore the bound objects. But I don't know what they are, and I don't know why they are what they are. Which are, those are the things we should look at before we hook it all back up. Because it was causing all sorts of crashes with wrong selectors, so the objects weren't even the type that we were expecting. And we need to work out why that is. So you're still muted.
That's terrible. I need a hardware mute button.
I've got one. It clicks like fuck.
Yeah. When you click your hardware mute button, I got your microphone appears to be noisy.
Nice.
No, it's not my microphone that is noisy. Okay, so if we go back to the top, let's go up to. Oh, whoops! I have focus in the wrong window. There we go. Reverse search for bind. So here is where we were binding, setting up all the bindings. This was one thing that was complaining, but we fixed that by initializing them.
Yeah.
In the initialize, by exposing the bindings. So we fixed the warnings, but we still do not have access to whatever is getting shoved into them. And these are, for those of you that haven't been following along, we use, AntiRSI uses the Cocoa bindings to set, to basically to propagate the changes that are made in the preferences window.
Yeah.
And there we go. Oh, look at that. We have some Twitch spam.
Yeah.
All right.
I am going to just very quickly deal with that. So yeah, what I think might be a good place to start is
but also there are other teams. There are other teams where they go, you know what?
Going to the draw doc image and just like logging the values of all of the colours that I don't use. So let's see what those right, I have banned that person. Yeah, let's see what those objects actually are.
Okay, let me just. Okay, so. So we can just log what the background.
Yeah, NSLog doesn't have a capital O or G.
No, it does not. All right, there we go.
You need to use a string, a format string.
Okay. What? Which percent character do I use for this?
For an object.
Right. Okay, and I need a semicolon.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you mean you need to type one, and you probably want to like actually put some words in so we know what we're logging there.
Yep. There we go. Background. I'm just gonna copy that whole line.
Oh, did I miss out the draw? Above you've got there is a dark background set. Go up about 10 lines. Where it says draw background circle.
Oh yes, there is. Yep.
Okay.
You missed. Yep, you did miss commenting that. Do you want me to comment that out or leave it?
Yeah, let's leave it because it evidently worked.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, it didn't hurt the drawing when it started working. Oops, dark background, and then here. Do we want to go through all of them, or do we want to do just a few and see if something jumps out at us right away?
Let's do one of all of them, and then we'll get some handle on what is going on.
All right. I don't have a meta key, so my movement is a bit slow. But we'll take that again. I used Emacs for about 5 years before I realized that meta key wasn't escape and wait. And we've already done elapsed, and we've already done taking.
Right, we're done.
We're done. All right, so let's build and run this. The beautiful thing about Build Tool is that this builds exactly the same on macOS and on GNU Step.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Okay, so
we can probably
that is weird because
just quit
we can
now.
probably quit. Yep, that's weird because so elapsed is null, but everything else has an actual color in it.
Yeah. Well, shall we try one at a time, putting them back and seeing whether it survives?
Okay, let's do that. Let's start at the top. So background set. And we can take that one out. And red color set was your change, right?
Yeah, so you can take that out as well.
Okay. And let's try
And
that.
what we see here,
sorry.
Before we go, so background is a light grey,
Yeah.
somewhat transparent light grey.
Yep.
Okay, well let's try running the app now and see whether it still behaves itself.
All right, so I built, and look at that. It is the right color.
Yeah.
That's
but now
fantastic.
taking is also null.
Ah, that is weird. And taking wasn't null before.
Except
taking is going to be null because we're not taking a break.
No, taking is a colour. Taking is a colour that should be set in preferences.
Right. Yep, you're right. Okay, that is weird. Well, let's try with dark. Let's go through the list until we get to taking. So we'll take dark background out. And do we have another use of dark background?
No,
we didn't. No, that's good. Okay. So then we can build and run. And now both elapsed and taking are null. Let's take a break and see if the elapsed will change. Oops, shit. I lost my menu. How did I do that? Oh, there it is. Okay. Take break now. And it's taking is still null. Oh, there we go. Taking is now has a color.
Okay, so I wonder what is causing that to synchronize. Anyway, okay, so that's drawing. So let's carry on.
Okay, so let's do that. Elapsed set, yellow color set, taking set, green color set, elapsed set, black color set, taking set. There we go. I think that's it. So let's build and run that and see if we get what we're looking for. Okay, so it did that. And we're going to take a break.
Okay, let's just leave that running a bit and see.
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely drawing a chunk of the circle.
Yep. And I don't remember exactly. I think the middle ring is for the work break and the outer ring is for the work break. Oh, it just changed to green. So it was drawing it in the dark color for a little while and then changed to green, which is the color of taking.
Okay, is that the difference between the micro pores? Because there's two colors.
Right. Yeah, but it started. Remember, you said when we ran it the last time, it was null for a while, and then it changed to green, and you said, "I wonder why it's getting out of sync." That's what we just witnessed.
Okay.
So let me see if there's a. Okay, we can't do a micro pause. We can only take a break. So.
Okay, but the other thing is that we didn't get the crash when you quit, which you were getting before,
right.
where the thing was unbound. But what we also didn't try doing then was screwing with the preferences window, because we can change all the colors in the preferences.
Yep. So I just want to see that. I want to see it change color again. Yeah, see, it starts drawing in gray. And then when it gets up to about 1 o'clock, it starts drawing in green. And that's what we were noticing in the log scroll by, that it was null, 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 and then suddenly it had a color.
But null isn't dark gray.
No, but if it's null, it'll be using, if you set the color to null, doesn't it use the previous set color, which was dark background?
Yeah, null set doesn't do anything,
Right. So, and it just changed to green. So something is causing a weird synchronization issue. So we'll postpone that one. Let's get into the preferences and change the rest time color.
Okay, yeah, that isn't going well. Oh
well. Okay. And let's change that to like a cyan.
Although that could be that it's loading some palette that is like not linked properly, because I've rebuilt GUI at some point.
Right. Okay, so we'll now close that window and take the break. And it is drawing in cyan.
You've got better eyesight than me if you can distinguish that from the green. No, you're right, it is. Yeah. Okay, so
I have a gigantic monitor.
Ah, right. So there is something
the pixels are large.
There is something that is well, so, I mean that is basically working, isn't it? There is a tiny bug, which is the color not being initially correct, but we basically got the icon drawing working on GNU Step.
Yeah. This is shippable. Let's do it. It's annoying, but it's working. So let's take a look at the diff. This is something that I do before I commit, no matter what I'm working on. I always look at the diff. I usually, even if I'm not using Emacs, I use maggot mode or magic mode. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. I usually say magic mode, actually. So I use magic mode in Emacs, which gives you can stage and unstage chunks so that you can, which is really nice. If anybody else wants to look at that. So we removed the hard coded values, and we're using background set and dark background set. We're doing the same thing for elapsed and taking. And again. Okay, and that's it. So add. Let's see here. Remove the hard coded for experimentation. There we go.
Okay, so before we push, we can just reset the URL. And then you can use SSH. And I've already set up my SSH key. No, I don't need to enter my password ever again.
Perfect.
Okay, well, you are free to. We could merge that into main if you're happy with that, or you could.
Oh, absolutely,
do that and take a release, whatever you want to do.
Let's do that. Let's. I'm just gonna. We don't need to do the whole pull request thing. We can just do. Oops. There we go.
Nice. Well, we've only.
This is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, like this is the first time in how long in total have we been streaming? Like 6 months. This is the first time we actually finished a project. I think. Oh no, I suppose we did Yak Finder like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So, with 2 minutes until our regular finish time left, rather than starting a new project now, I think it would be worth chatting about what our next project is going to be. And I think we've pretty much picked, haven't we?
Yes, we have. I have very, very strong personal reasons for why this is the right choice.
Okay. Do you want to do the big reveal?
I would love to talk about that. So we're going to work on Simple Agenda, which is a GNU Step calendaring app, and the reason for that is. The reason I keep coming back to a Mac is because the applications that allow me to get my life organized are just more available and better polished on a Mac. So when I don't use a Mac, I miss Calendar, Address Book, Mail, and OmniFocus. Those are the 4 apps that I miss. Everything else I give 0 fucks about, and so. I want to see Simple Agenda improved so that makes it easier for people who feel the same way. I was encouraged by this because Graham shared a blog with me about a guy who switched off of the Mac and then switched back. And he also pointed out Mail, Calendar, Address Book, and a few others that are, things that you would expect to be solved problems. A calendar, everyone uses a calendar. And so working on Simple Agenda helps us get to the place where, GNU Step can be a daily driver.
Yeah, so I've used Simple Agenda a little bit. Well, it's probably installed on here, actually. It is installed on here, I know that. Yeah, so we got this thing happening again. It looks like I've just it's trying to link 2 versions of the GNU Step base libraries. If it's loading 2 versions of NS run loop, that's libspace. Okay, so that is probably just something I've screwed up since installing from packages and then also installing the version from source. So I might just need to rebuild Simple Agenda, but. It works. What I haven't got set up are any remote calendars. You can do that. I'm not entirely sure how because I've never tried it. I would like for sending and receiving invitations and for accepting, maybeing, and declining invitations to work in it. Like that would make it a thing that is a useful calendar for me. If it already does that, and I just don't know how, then so much better. It already works for me, but it doesn't look like it does already do any of that. And
I think it needs email integration for those things.
Yeah, but we've got GNU Mail, so as long as it
Yep.
can integrate with that, then that's all fine. What I would like is actually having posted that in the chat. It didn't get forwarded because of weird settings with the bridge, so I'm just going to drop the link into Mattermost as well. So, which I should have done in the first place. So, what I know is that the version of libical which it uses is about a decade old. So it is possible that a lot of this stuff is already handled from a data perspective in newer versions of libical. So I think that a reasonable starting place is forward porting Simple Agenda to the current libical, and then looking at where the match is between the features that we want and the features that are provided. Eugene19 asks, what about a calendar inside Emacs? That undoubtedly already exists.
There are several, and also org mode is a calendar as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it actually, that calendar mode that you're looking at, or a modification of it, supports accepting invites and stuff using rmail, and also does like contact completion for invites using BBDB. Because I used to, before I became a Mac user, I used to live in Emacs, and I used it for all of my calendaring and stuff. So yeah, great suggestion, but Emacs users already know that everything already exists in Emacs.
Yeah, and also we want we want this to be usable by people who don't already have Richard Stallman's haircut. We need to sort of generalize out. If I think about what I do with my calendar day to day at work, I get an invite for through my email that's got an ICS file. I double click the ICS in my mail client. I open it in the calendar. It contains the time zone information and the meeting link, and lets me accept or decline the invite. I do that. That sends a response, and then at the time that the meeting starts, I click the link in the calendar, and that opens whatever Jitsi or whatever chat app the meeting is in, and I would love to have that experience in the GNU Step collection of applications.
Yeah, one of my goals for this is I want to replace iCal on my Mac with Simple Agenda.
Right.
And then I want to replace Address Book on my Mac with the GNU Step Address Book, and so on and so forth. I just want to replace the apps that I use on my Mac with GNU Step-based applications, so that on some glorious day in the future, I can buy a not Mac and have all of the same applications.
Sure. Okay, so that is a little preview of what is going to be coming up next time. We have come to our usual stop time, even if we started a bit late. Next week, what do we currently believe is going to be our start time next week and day? Back to Wednesday?
Yeah, currently back to Wednesday and regular time looks like it should work for me, and I'll be able to modify my calendar to work around that.
Well, let's make sure that you can modify your calendar by giving you a working calendar app.
There we go. That'll help.
And on that bombshell. Thanks everyone who's joined us in chat. Thank you to everyone who is watching. You please do sign up with Mattermost so you can carry on the conversation in between the streams. Chat.objc-retain.com. Check out objc-retain.com for links to previous episodes and blogs about what is coming up in the future. Please like and subscribe. You can become my patron at patreon.com/IamLeeG. Do you take money off people?
Not yet. I'm still completing my Patreon profile, and I always get sidetracked by the yak shave of looking at Liberapay and things like that. So
Okay, nice.
Soon, real soon now.
So hold on to half of your money and then give it to Stephen when he sorted that out.
Right.
Great. Okay, thanks very much, everyone. We will see you again next week.
See you next week. Thank you.